Same thing. Stuttgart.
I know I'm going to mess that up on
Yeah,
it.
Stuttgart is close enough, though.
I did say it wrong in launch minute. They were like, learn your German. I'm like, oh.
One of the hardest, man.
Space Mike! Oh, wait, he can't hear me.
Well,
My mic's on.
This is Mike's on. I was going to say Mike's
Yeah, I heard you.
These are really good notes. Thank you.
Yeah, so...
I just tried to memorize that, and then I couldn't, so this is helpful.
we're off by 1. Slide over.
What?
No, you're not on now.
Right.
That's where Commander is.
So
Oh,
You need to take a right chair, yeah?
yeah, I need it to go...
I need to move this
I
way?
need it to go this way, not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you want to just take that chair and move the thing in?
Well, no, that's what I'm looking at. Hang on.
Lisa, do you have mic one?
Hang on.
Yeah, whatever's on now. I think it's mic one. La la la, this is me talking, and I am gonna be like, woo! Space and stuff.
Mike, you look like you could be a lumberjack. I need you to have an axe. All right.
I'm a lumberjack, and that's okay. I work all day and I sleep all night.
Correct?
Yeah, this is the number of people. Jade said she was running like 5 minutes late, so she'll be here now.
Is it 35?
Oh, what's your name? Sarah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's funny.
I've got
What's your name?
this instead. One side is one story, the other side the other story.
Yeah,
so
it's really
sad.
helpful.
I lost my SpaceX hat, and I have no idea where.
He's saying that he lost his SpaceX hat.
Oh, do you need a new space? Does he need a new SpaceX hat?
Sure, if you're willing to send me one.
He's like, yeah, sure.
All right. So, Mike, hang on. I can't hear you, but I'm going to say things loudly, like this. How is it that works for whatever? So, I think you can do the same thing that we're doing here on set. I don't know if you'll have time to execute for today's show because we just kind of figured this out in advance, and I just really quickly made a thing. Although I can email it to you.
Yeah.
Hi,
So-
patrons.
Per last week's thing of like making sure we're prepared, part of it comes down to like I've taken everyone's notes away because everyone kept going back to scripts, and so I've kicked out that like support mechanism. So what we're doing instead is I've got approved like notes that are not scripts. They're just like data that you would very easily forget. Like I was trying to think if I'm sitting here on set and I'm going over a story, I might need some crib notes. That's what these are, and it's designed to print out on a single sheet of paper. You can fold it in half. One half is one story, the other half is the other story, and I think we'll eventually make it so that you print it out and you just have like a series of cards, and then you can just like, you know, whatever. I think this will make life. I'm hoping that this is a good compromise between. Again, I'm trying to get people out of scripts and into conversations, but at the same time, you need to have some sort of support mechanism there. So I'm hoping that this works. We'll see. I'll email you the notes. You can use them, not use them, whatever works for you. But this is what we've got.
Is that the same data that's in the rundown right
Can you
now?
repeat what he says for me?
Is that the same data that's in the rundown right now?
The information on
Chang'e.
Yeah, that's it.
Chang'e.
fuck's sake. I will get that someday. Is the information in the rundown? The information on FRBs is not in the rundown, but that is a good point. I will paste it into the rundown right now. Which actually is the better. So that's the best place to put it. Is if you just put your notes in. Actually, that's what we'll do. Put your line item notes in the rundown area. We'll leave the images at the bottom and just all the crap that you want at the top. I will copy and paste it into a document for the people here, and then Space Mike. That gets you everything you need, right? Because then you've got. Right. Okay. Cool. The nodding works better when I don't have ears in it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Cool. All right. I think we're good. We're good.
Benjamin, you moved.
Any other questions? Oh, new control room data cam. That's apparently aligned wrong. We'll fix that. And none of my new stuff works. So there you go. Oh, hi, Jade. Oh, did you hear my little rant?
Happy birthday,
Did you hear my little thing I just said?
I heard starting from
All right. Quick.
for
Crib notes.
Monday.
Yeah. So idea being, I don't want.
Hi, patrons. You have this wonderful shot of me that's not very well like framed up and stuff. Oh, there we go. Hello. I'm over here now.
I think you were here when I took everything.
Thank you for tuning in early. I hope you enjoy the chaos.
Yeah, camera one needs to come up a bit because Ben's head was cut
so I
off.
took everyone's computers away too. And
Yeah.
Camera one. Conversation, but what happens is now
I need to be like,
a little bit.
hey.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that.
So
Also, I'm sitting on my phone, and that is a bad idea because the screen is very bad. Oh, I made it worse. Well, never mind.
put your data, like your notes for future shows.
Yeah, it's all spidering.
Exciting, isn't it?
Like, see.
We need to get you a cover on this because you're gonna like slice a finger open,
I will then take the things that I think are
or
good,
you know we're gonna replace this one.
thing, and hand you a sheet of
I'll get to it. It's been on my list.
Yeah, I know.
Also, everything's done by
All that money you
numbers
spent
now
on my
instead of
birthday.
rolls because rolls started to indicate that you had some sort of specific thing. But when you have a conversation,
But we
you don't have a
really do. We
roll.
gotta get you
It's a free for all.
It's a fucking free for all.
Jesus.
My God.
Gone for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Right?
Those are cheap.
God.
Hello and welcome to tomorrow. Today we have faster universe from space. Is it aliens? Who knows? Plus, China was growing something on the moon. What do you think that could be? And we have the University of Stuttgart. I said it wrong. I knew I was going to say it wrong. Stuttgart.
Stuttgart. Stuttgart?
Talking to us about robots that climb inside of rockets and an experiment on the ISS. Stay tuned. This is tomorrow, orbit 12.03. That's what I'm going to say.
Begins right now.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Apparently I made noises.
I feel naked without the chat room. Like, I want the chat room.
Who's going to have the chat room?
Jade.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, JD's our avatar. I'm.
Oh, I need you in that seat,
I'm here?
please. Yeah.
Cool.
Because Ben did the intro slate thing, name banners, in
Gotcha.
a particular order.
Cool.
We have Space Mike, also known as Michael Clark. I know, I'm going to do the opposite. We have Space Mike. We have Michael Clark, also known as Space Mike. He's our rocket specialist at TMRO, and he also works on some great projects with Borderless Labs, getting refugees engaged in STEM.
Borderless.
That's what I said.
No, it sounded like you said bottleless.
I did hear bottleless.
You know what? Don't mention Borderless Labs. I'm not going to be working for them anymore. Don't mention them.
Uh-oh.
Do you want me to talk about Space Mike?
If you want, you can
Michael
say
Clark?
that I do videos on my own channel as well. Otherwise, just end it at I'm your guys' rocket specialist.
Cool. Too easy. That's less for me to say, which is better because I'm doing this from memory. We also have Sarah Vincent. Sarah is an astronomy enthusiast.
Yeah,
No, I think that one's her.
museum
okay.
guide, Griffith
And then
Observer, Team
there's
Griffith,
another one.
Team Griffith door.
Griffith. Okay. Michael Clark, Space Mike, rocket specialist. Sarah Vincent, a museum guide at the Griffith Observatory. I always stumble on Griffith. Ah!
See, so it's like Gryffindor. But you said Gryffindor, right? You're
Griffith.
Harry Potter.
I'm just going to say it real slow.
Don't want to know the difference.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Griffith.
I know that sounds stupid, but like you put 2 F's on it and no one will.
Griffith.
Griffith.
There we go.
Seriously, like,
Griffith.
it sounds so similar enough that you hear it.
Cool.
I know that sounds really dumb.
We have Jade Kim, who also is at Griffith Observatory, but also works with a startup getting minorities into STEM.
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is. Dang, first try. All right, now how do I open this?
And I'm Lisa, and I work on the show. That's me.
Oh no, not my face. No.
We're going to talk about space.
Let me figure this out
Up.
on my own. I did it. I'm just kidding. Thank you.
So there was a
Oh,
little
battery.
bar. Oh
Oh
no.
hell no.
New one.
This is unacceptable.
Inconceivable.
I do not think this word means what you think it means.
Splendid.
Oh, man.
Simply splendid.
Stuttgart?
Stuttgart.
Is that?
Is it Stuttgart or Stuttgart?
I don't know.
Same?
I don't know. Yeah, Stuttgart.
You know what it'd be? Google Translate.
What? Can I see the word? Is it the city?
There's 2 T's.
Yeah, it's the city.
Oh, I think I don't think you double the T, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 of them. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why I thought it might be Stuttgart.
Stuttgart.
But it could be Stuttgart.
Stuttgart.
I'm going to go with Stuttgart, and because I know it's better than Stuttgart, which is what I said in the launch minute. So if I'm halfway there, it shows improvement.
Yeah.
Halfway there.
Oh, no, that's going to be my...
Then we can just
Algorithm.
apologize and ask them how it's pronounced.
What?
Oh, yeah, they should be joining us in 3 minutes.
Yay.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Chang'e.
Chang'e. Chang'e.
Benjamin!
Ruh-roh.
Chang'e.
What happened?
I thought it was Chang'e.
Benzo.
Chang'e.
Chang'e.
The wife.
Like when they say it fast, when Chinese people say it fast, it sounds like Chang'e.
Chang'e.
When
Chong.
they say it slow, it sounds like Chang'e.
Chang'e.
Thank you.
So somebody was pronouncing
said
it
it-
specifically, and they said Chong.
We should have 5 packs. 1, 3, 4.
Were they Chinese?
Yes.
Okay.
Native speakers
If
genetically.
they weren't Chinese, I don't care.
Nope, they
I've
were
had people be
indeed.
like, it's pronounced this way. I'm just like, do you speak Mandarin? And shut up.
Hey, Ben can hear you.
Just gonna
Not
say
that
it
I
really
speak
fast, like
either, Not that I speak
Chang'e.
Mandarin
And someone said
either, but it's
to get
like,
the tone right, if you say it, like if you end it as if you're surprised, which is how Australians end every sentence, then you should
Oh,
be
you
okay.
upspeak.
Yeah, we do.
Ouch.
Chang'e.
Chang'e?
But only Australians can make upspeech sound good.
Do they make it sound good though?
Upspeech in an American accent is just
LA.
tragic.
Is that because it's like really annoying? Because it always seems to come out like this?
So
I got kind.
there is
I
a
guess it's
person.
like that
I
would
don't
be
know
We gotta
if
guess.
this person still works at the observatory.
Although it's hard to
that
see
had
you
the
guys right
worst
now.
Upspeech that like
Um,
it discredited. I'm sure she was very
Oh,
smart,
yeah.
but everything she ever said sounded like what's her face from Clueless, but not even in a cool way. Like,
Get it?
And they're like,
I have a feeling
How
that
do you
will
have
look
no
better.
internet? That's
I
weird.
don't know.
You're not having good luck with these iPads today. What the hell is going on?
Much better lighting.
Studio.
Technology
Much
hates
better.
Jade.
Studio.
Studio? Ooh, what?
Let me.
Greetings, guests.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Alright, guys.
That's great.
Hey, Mike.
Okay, how's it now?
We can hear you.
It's trying a different microphone.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Can you hear us?
Okay, cool. Yes, we can hear you.
So, Mike, because we have so many guests, I'm thinking that we're going to be too crowded on the screen. Is it okay if we pull you off for the main segment?
That's fine.
If you have questions,
I'll just throw them into the chat room or something.
Do you have a
or
chat
into
room
the host
login?
room.
do you want to do that?
Actually,
you're back.
just the two of us
Yeah.
today.
Oh, did I not
Lena is
mention
sick,
that? Sorry.
unfortunately.
Okay, I was
Okay.
trying to go on VMix.
That'd be why it wasn't working.
I do.
That's all right. Mike, I'll pin you in Discord.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to do a quick camera coloring.
Oh my. Oh,
So-
back to the bay.
So Karen's going to be helping by like pushing stuff to host channel.
Okay.
So you should be fine if you stay in host the majority of the time. So
Okay, so stay in hosts.
yeah, and then just butt in on me whenever you have anything. Like I don't even care. Just be like, Lisa, shut up. The chat room says this. This person has a question.
Got it.
Blah blah blah. Yeah.
The chat room says Lisa said Stuttgart very well.
Stuttgart. I've been practicing.
Is that how you say it? Stuttgart?
Okay, cool.
Oh,
You
fancy.
guys are laughing, so I don't know.
No, it was good. It was good.
Oh wow, thank you. So we have Martin and Martin. Is that right?
Yes, I'm Martin and he's Martin.
Wonderful. It makes it really easy for me. And we have Lena as well. Is Lena coming?
No, Lena's sick, unfortunately.
Aw.
No problem.
Space Mike, can you move your camera down so your eyes are at the top third?
So the same. Yeah. Hang on.
So Martin and Martin, we have. I think you guys have watched the show before, right? So we have our news kind of
I have.
segment that goes first.
He's the regular.
That goes for about like 20, 25 minutes. And then we do an ad break, and then we come into the interview for the second segment. So we won't need you guys, although I guess if you wanted to hang around for news, you could. We're going to be talking about fast radio bursts and the Chinese lunar lander before we go into the first commercial break. So
I think we're going to leave the news to you. Yeah.
cool, no worries.
Are we still able to watch you guys, or is
Oh
it?
yeah. You don't have to do anything. You just kind of just sit there and relax and be comfortable. And then when you see the first commercial break with the it's like the launch calendar, then that's when it's showtime for you guys. So we'll take care of all of that.
Nice. Did you get our media all right?
Yes, thank you. That is probably, I would have to say, hands down, the most useful, easy to navigate, and like high quality, well sorted media that any guest has ever sent me. So thank you.
Thank you.
That was that was really good. And I say that coming from like, you know, a launch company where one of our things we really focus on is having good media easily accessible for like, you know, the media to use. So it was really good.
Hey, Mike, be aware that during the interview you're going to be inside of a very tiny box, so you can't move around.
Yeah,
If you guys want to do that, that's fine. Yeah.
And I just have two, Ben. One of their team members is sick.
Yeah,
so just two of them.
I've got yours.
Oh, yeah, cool.
I've got ears, Lisa. I can hear.
I mean, even with ears, he struggles to hear sometimes.
That's true. They're very tiny.
Oh, I bet the chat room is saying funny things now. I miss the chat room. I miss you guys.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Imagine a chat room right here saying funny things.
Bed bugs?
Yay.
Still not working?
Well, unless nobody said anything in the last like 5 minutes, which I guess is theoretically possible.
But highly unlikely.
I mean, Dota said something.
Cool.
Hang on.
There we go.
Yep.
Please.
That's kind of where I'm at.
We just probably don't have a whole lot still in. I mean, right now it's just the patron links, right? We're not live to the world.
Correct, Space Mike. I believe it is just for patrons.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we're not publicly live.
Is there a
my
specific
end.
amount of time that we're looking to allot for each conversation?
Not necessarily. You know, we wouldn't ever want to put a story on where we're like, hey, so the moon's going to be out tonight. That's going to be cool. You bet.
Neat.
Next. Yeah. so there's that. But at the same time, like, if we cover everything that we are comfortable talking about, like we've reached the end of the things that we understand,
Yeah.
then you can definitely move on. And if that means that's only a 5-minute story, then that's only a 5-minute story. Hopefully not every single story, right? But at the same time, like, so what happened last week, unfortunately, we had a couple of stories that we weren't very well prepared on, and we sort of ended up like kind of floundering for a little bit, and it was sort of uncomfortable, and we got some stuff wrong, and we'll probably speak more to that. But like that doesn't make for good conversation because we're like, I don't know, do you know stuff? No, I don't know stuff. Do you know stuff? No, I don't know stuff either. It was like, does the chat room know stuff? No, chat room doesn't seem to know stuff either. And we probably at that point should have just like.
Ben, do you want me to open on the Starhopper retraction? Like after. So we come in from the open just before we go to the news. Do you want me to be like, hey, thanks for joining us?
Exactly.
Before we get started.
Yeah,
But yeah, if we reach the end
I don't really
of
want to
our
like
knowledge,
say
I don't wanna-
tracking everything. Just more like a look. We heard your comments last week on the Starlink story. We didn't come into it prepared enough. We're sorry. We'll do better. You expect more of us. We do too. We screwed up. That's all we really need to say.
Like one sentence.
We're sorry.
thing,
We'll
yeah.
do better.
Yep.
That's it. Short, sweet, straight to the thing.
And then straight into the news.
Straight into the news, and
Yep.
then once we hit the Chong, I will get that someday.
You're getting it. You're...
I'm getting closer.
Yeah.
You guys aren't saying the G though. Good.
Chong.
Isn't it
No, you
Chong?
don't, the pronunciation I heard was very clearly not with a g. It was Chong.
It's like an.
Like,
Is it like
yeah.
an unvoiced G? Like a
Yeah,
very
it's
soft?
like the what do you call it?
Soft.
When you kind of swallow the G, it's like Chung. Yeah, like the last name Chong. Chang. It's not Chang. It's not Chang. You know, you don't say that at the end of a Chinese last name that ends with a G. It's Chong.
Chang.
Right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's Chong.
I love that.
Actually, okay. And then once we get into that story, it'd be like, yeah, we got a little bit of data wrong here too. Sorry, not a great start to the year. I think it was basically the silkworms,
Power sources, and where the experiments were.
I wasn't wrong about the rover power. It's like they're going about, no, it's a radioisotope on the lander. I never mentioned anything about the power source on the lander, so technically I wasn't wrong on that. But
all right.
Still, we didn't mention that, so we should bring it up. So
yeah,
all right, that's fair. Yeah, just quick, sweet, straight to the point. I don't want to harp on it, but I just want to say, yeah, we understand and we hear you. We're fixing it. We'll do better. That's all I want.
And then the self-flagellation, and then move on to news.
Boom.
Got it.
Martin, which Martin are you? Zietz or Seidorf?
I'm Martin Zietz.
Thank you.
Donna, do you have all the correct banners in order from left to right?
Yes, except I've got Lena, and we're not using Lena, so I can skip over that. That's fine. Everybody else is fine.
Cool.
Hi.
Is your mic? Do you have a mic, Ben?
Yes, I'm on 4.
You're not on.
Even this video, they skip both ways. What the fuck?
Give me speaking.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, hang on. Am I at 3? I'm sorry, I have 3.
Nope.
Who has mic 4?
Oh, that's probably me.
I think I'm number one. Number one.
Thank you.
I want to pull the.
Number one.
So I don't have 3.
Hang on. That's,
It's me.
It's
Okay.
me.
so now I'm on 4,
Ugh.
like I'm supposed to be.
Jesus Christmas, why are you...
Jade is on 3 now.
I have no signal on 4.
Oh, it's...
You have no signal on 4.
Did I break it?
Number 3. Number 3.
It missed you. It was like if I can't be with
Can
Jade.
you turn it on and turn it back off?
It gives me a green status light when the mic is on,
Neat.
and I don't have one.
Interesting. Okay. Then ignore that and just ignore me for a bit.
Okay.
You've got 1, 2,
Easy.
3, yes?
Yes.
Oh, you know
We do that anyway, don't we?
I know, right?
What?
Maybe it's a bad mic element. You get nothing, huh?
No.
What number on the periodic table is the mic element?
All right, I'm posting a link in the chat room. You guys tell me because there's.
Okay, going live.
I need mic checks. Lisa, please.
Hi, welcome to tomorrow. My name is Lisa. This is going to be Orbit 12.03, and hopefully I say 11 and not 12 because it's the start of the year, and
Thank you.
yep.
Sarah.
Hello and good morning. Welcome everyone. And I'm going to say things that don't really mean anything because I can't word right now because morning. Yay! Okay.
Keep going, please.
Oh, okay. Even more. All right. So I'm looking at lights. They're very bright. There are 4 little
There we go,
tubey
thank you.
things.
Jade.
Hello, Dada. How are you today? That's good. I'm good, too. You know, it was raining the past few days. Did your ground get wet? I know mine did. I have a weird worm problem in my room right now. Worms really like my room.
This is interesting and awkward, and I don't want to stop.
No.
Space mic.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Last time I checked, there are 4 lights. Destructor 17. There are 4 lights. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of space stuff today.
Thank you, Space Mike. If you can move your camera down just a smidge more, you get see your eyes lined up. Get your eyes lined up with the Martins, please.
Martins.
Okay, Martin and Martin, can I get a mic check from you guys, please?
Na klar, doch, kein Problem. Ist doch in Ordnung, dass wir Deutsch reden, oder? Oder, I mean, you all get German, so we can just talk German. So von wegen, wie das Wetter ist, ein bisschen Schnee da draußen. Es geht eigentlich ganz gut, schöne Projekte und so. Allerdings haben wir nur 3 Lampen oben. So, only 3 lights for us.
I think you guys and Jade need to have a long conversation.
But you guys speak German too?
Oh, no, but I could
enjoying them.
I was just really enjoying what was going on. I was picking up what they were throwing down.
Oh, shoot.
Awesome. I think I'm set for everybody on mics. Thank you.
Our stream is live, and it says we have Peter Beck on.
What?
Uh-oh. Surprise!
The title of the live stream is Live with Peter.
Ben's fixing
They're
it.
fixing it.
Ben knows it's in work.
Okay.
Ben.
4 minutes.
Thank
4
goodness,
minutes.
Ben.
Chat room working good for you?
I think so. I'm gonna test. I'm just gonna test pushing something. I know I'm not gonna be the one pushing, but I just because I don't know if
Do
tomorrow.
you need a
hosts
pencil? Is it easier for you with a pencil?
Oh yeah, huh? Okay, no, that's working.
Although I don't remember how to repair them.
It's fine. I mean, my nimble
Hello,
fingers
Travis
can do
Neal.
it.
Hello, Matt Cross. Hello, Ben J. Hello, Sean Connolly from Ireland.
Sean Connery.
Oh,
Hello, chat room. How you doing today?
Scotland.
Sean Connery. Wherever he comes from, I wish more men did.
You're gonna kill me today, Jade.
Sorry, it's been a few weeks.
I'm trying to be like, this is the show.
Oh, you got this.
We're doing a show.
You're our anchor. Iraq.
Iraq?
Have you guys ever heard of Eddie Izzard, the comedian?
Eddie Izzard.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He's got this hilarious skit about Sean Connery playing the role of Noah in the Bible. And God comes and build the ark, and he's just like, oh, but I'm building a speedboat. Wouldn't it be much better if we put all the long animals with long hair on the side? Hair is flowing in the wind. It'll look great.
I would agree.
That's fun. That's fun.
All right, I don't need
Having
that
the lions up front. Through the mane.
Hello, Douglas Smith.
They would look so majestic.
Oh, majestic.
Norway. You guys got
Jared
great music.
Elvin. Hope I said that right. Sorry. Hello, Daniel Casey from Manchester, England. So amazing.
Romania.
Hello, Johnny Cheese from Romania.
Lovely name.
Thank you.
Hello, Romania. I've never
Yeah.
been there.
No, but how amazing would that be?
But I am going to the UAE in March. I'm super excited.
Ooh.
What's happening?
Nice.
I got a gig on a speaking panel at the Global Space Congress.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's epic.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about tomorrow. So if you're there, if you're going to be in the UAE in March 19th and 20th, come and say hi.
Yay.
I'm sure I'll tweet about it and stuff.
She's a very good tweeter.
It's my little thumbs, they're nimble.
Hello, Oliver. Hello from Skipton in Yorkshire. Hello.
Skipton.
Man.
Uh-oh.
So
Did everybody
yes, it's
sound
cold
all, or is
here.
that just me?
My hair's falling out.
Oh,
You'll
it's
have
just
to
me.
deal with
Did
my
you
hat
put a new
today.
battery in?
I fixed it. Yeah, I did. Unwrap the plastic and everything. Set it, jiggle it.
Intotron from
So now
Northern
you should be able to
Germany.
hear me
Come
talk.
on, bit of free-
Yay.
Hey, Benny.
Hi. So the link should be fixed, so we should be good there. I think that's about it. Anyone else have anything?
Hello, Tobias from Austria.
We're good.
Hello, King Panda from Leeds. Lots of people from the UK today. This is great.
All right, let me call up the chat room. Let me also talk to
Yorkshire,
Colton
not
really quick.
Yorkshire. My bad.
It's 10 o'clock.
Go ahead. Colton, go ahead and restart. Go ahead and restart.
Kev G. Hello from
Wait.
Oh,
Skegness.
Karen. Never.
Go ahead.
Almost back.
We're going to restart the chat really quick so that we get Twitch integration.
Cool.
And lower third, still no joy.
No, it's not.
Maybe.
Oh, did it do that thing where it wouldn't?
Hello, Stormer
Do
Joe
you know how
from
to-
South Africa.
You pull the top off.
Had
Yep.
to do all that fun stuff.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
That was great.
Oh, man, what happened?
Yay.
Hello, Mars Mountain from Sweden.
Oh, they said they're going to restart
The
the chat.
reset. Ah,
Hello, Mako
Wow.
from
Listen.
Budapest, Hungary.
I was going to wear contacts today, and then I woke up and I was like,
didn't feel like shoving your finger in your eye.
I've only got like 2 left.
Guildford.
2 like weeks worth, like
Oh,
2 sets.
well, don't they come in sets of two?
Yeah, hello.
Because I get them from Australia, so
Oh. Are Australian contacts better than American contacts?
no, I just don't have
And
health insurance
Twitch is
right
working.
now. So,
That makes sense.
sometimes.
Welcome to America.
Yep, right?
Welcome to America. Take care of your life.
Oh, are we?
Good luck.
Yeah. Hope you have boots and straps.
Is it just the 4 of you for news, or is it all? Is it all 6?
No, they're just going to join us for the interview, Ben.
All right,
They're
cool.
going to skip out on.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
So I'm also realizing that we need to have some sort of mount on the TV that allows me to raise it and lower it because now my mic is.
It looks like he also has two very tiny legs.
Cool. You good?
That's disturbing.
Oh man.
Just waiting on confirmation of the chat room, and then we're gonna go.
We're ready.
I don't think you need to.
If you're wondering.
Change the height of the TV and make it so that.
What am I saying?
The hashtag.
Hello,
Yeah, you're
welcome
probably
to
right. So we just need to
tomorrow.
lower the TV itself.
12.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's
Don't do or three.
that would be good in general. Although I don't think that mount goes any
Hello,
lower.
welcome to tomorrow. We've got fast radio bursts coming to us from the universe.
Does that mean
it's aliens?
My camera
Could be
angle.
aliens, it might be aliens.
Angry aliens.
Mike, you're fine where you are.
Plus, China was growing something on the far side of the moon. What do you think it is?
Hint, it's legal. Potentially.
I don't know. One of them's called rapeseed.
Oh, I saw that. I was like, is that pronounced like rapeseed?
Nope.
We all ready to go?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, we're ready. Are you ready?
Everybody ready?
We're ready. Are
Yo.
you ready?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
If you did.
Hello and welcome to tomorrow. Now today we've got fast radio bursts coming to us from the universe. Does that mean it's aliens? And China is growing something on the far side of the moon. What do you think that is?
Let's redo it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that was my fault. Sorry. My mic was all open. I'm gonna cut it now.
Thanks, Ben.
Ben broke automation by being Ben.
You're going to black, right? Hello and welcome to tomorrow. Now we've got fast radio bursts coming to us from the universe. Does that mean it's aliens? Plus, China is growing something on the far side of the moon. What do you think that is? Then we're going to talk to the University of Stuttgart's Small Sat Society, where they've got rovers inside rockets crawling around and experiments on the International Space Station. Stay tuned. This is Orbit 12.03.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
And thanks for sticking with us. Now, I want to introduce my beautiful crew here. So we've got Michael Clark, also known as Space Mike. He's our rocket specialist of tomorrow. Then we also have Sarah Vincent, who is a museum guide at the Griffith Observatory. We also have Jade Kim, who works for a
John
startup.
Cena thing. Hey!
She's still here. And she works for a startup that gets minorities into STEM, which is something I think is really a great goal to have. So, and me, I guess I shouldn't forget myself. My name's Lisa Studjanowski, and I work here at Tomorrow. That's my job. So thank you very much for joining us. Before we get into news today, we just want to throw back to last week, Orbit 12.02. We talked about Starhopper and what's been going on at SpaceX. Now, we got a little bit of information wrong there, and the community did reach out and tell us about that. And so we weren't prepared, and we're going to do better. We're going to make sure that we have our facts straight, or otherwise we're not going to say things as fact when they're not. So we appreciate the community chiming in there, and we will do better next time. Thank you.
Definitely, my bad, everyone.
Yeah, so let's get into news. Our first one here is fast radio bursts. So I'm going to admit here that I don't really know what they are, and when I think about it, is it alien civilizations sending radio messages to us? Because that's what I think when I think of radio waves. Like, for someone who doesn't know what a fast radio burst is, what are they?
No one knows. Isn't that fun?
So I'm not alone then.
No, you're not alone. So the first fast radio burst was discovered in just 2007 by Parkes Observatory in Australia.
Oh,
right? And it's just this really, 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 really distant high-energy radio source. So we weren't sure at the beginning if they were coming from inside. There's so little of the energy left from this distant thing that we weren't sure if it was just interference from Earth. If it was just some random stray signal from Earth. Exactly. Yeah. It's like if you've got, this is background noise, here's your burp, 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 FRB, bloop. You got to look really close to find these because there's so little energy left. So we were like, okay, is it coming from Earth? No. No. After finding other ones, and the really big one was found in 2012. It's got the fancy name of FRB 121102 because
number,
yeah, right.
Number.
But that number tells you when it was found. Exactly, 2012. November 2nd.
Oh, I didn't get that. I was looking at the name like, I wonder what these numbers mean. Some fancy coding thing.
Yep.
Whatever. But there's some logic.
Right, that one's not
obviously
like not like national, not like galactic catalog,
numbers.
blah blah blah. No.
Got it. Okay.
So this one with this 2012 discovery, it was a repeating one. Mm-hmm. So we could take multiple readings from it and trace it back. And we found the galaxy that it's coming from. It's not from Earth. It's not background noise. It's not some random signal happening, somebody opening the microwave before it stopped. No.
How far away?
Oh, my gosh. FRB 121102 is 3 billion light years away.
That's a lot of light years.
Its host galaxy is in Auriga. But the really fun thing, the reason it's in the news right now, is because there is a brand new telescope called CHIME, Canada Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment.
You didn't even have to look at your notes for that. That's amazing.
And so it's this really cool radio telescope that is, it's, as its name implies, it's looking at hydrogen throughout the universe. It's mapping the density of hydrogen everywhere so that we can kind of roll back time and look at the distribution of matter toward the beginning of the universe.
Wait, if you're looking for hydrogen, then how do you look at radio signals?
It is hydrogen emits energy in radio frequencies.
Oh.
Yeah. So as it's losing energy, as it's cooling with the background of the universe, it's releasing energy, and that energy is in radio. Mm-hmm. Right?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between this and the type of bursts that we see from pulsars? Is that gamma rays?
Is it what? Oh, pulsars? So pulsars tend to be, everything is, I don't want to say not gamma rays. I don't believe that we receive gamma rays from pulsars. There's something else called gamma ray bursters. Those are, again, distant galaxies. Those are the most violent, most high energy things we've ever seen.
And those usually come from like the black holes in those other galaxies, right?
We don't know. Sure.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know where gamma ray bursters come from. We don't know exactly what's going on in quasars and blazars, and we don't know what's causing fast radio bursts. But we can look at the radiation that's coming to us from fast radio bursts, and there's a spiral polarization that indicates that the source of these is next to high intensity magnetic fields.
And that's what Carrie Ann in the chat actually brought up. They are super bright, right? Despite the fact that the signal is dissipating.
Oh, yeah.
The source itself is
the source is hugely energetic. Let's see.
Like a diamond.
Fast radio bursts are their energy output at their source is like, what's the range? It's 500 billion solar energies.
Wow.
Jeez.
In a millisecond.
And yeah, exactly. And one more thing that Destructor 1701 in the chat room brought up, in long distance astronomy, there's an important distinction between the frequencies these EM bursts are emitted at and the frequencies they're received at. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Thanks for reminding us, or thanks for iterating that, because that's actually a very important point.
Yeah.
Is that because they're so far away?
They're getting stretched out?
Yeah, so it's called redshift. And so if you emit, let's say,
you start with a gamma.
I'm going to
start. Oh, you're doing color.
I'm going to color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start blue.
So if your peak intensity is in blue, so high frequency visible light, and you emit from a couple billion light years away, by the time it reaches Earth, the universe itself has stretched so much that your blue wavelengths, boop, 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 are now red wavelengths by the time they get here.
Think of like twitching versus doing the worm.
Right?
If we're translating this into dancing, which we should.
All things are dance.
Absolutely.
German dance, go!
I've got too many things hooked up to me. It'll all fall down.
I have another question that is somewhat related. I was under the understanding that our radio emissions from our technology is being dissipated out into space and is just continually going. Because of redshift, though, I've never thought about this before. Eventually, those signals will dissipate and be gone, right? Or will they continue on forever until they're picked up by something?
I would say it's more the distance will just. There's so little information, so little noise coming from us, and it's covering such a far distance. The intensity of it would be so little that there'd be almost nothing to detect. So we're not, the reason we detect these things is they are coming at us in focused beams. We only know that pulsars are there because they're the beam, the beam of ionized particle or energy that comes to us, it's focused by the magnetic field of the pulsar. So it's creating this beam that swings past Earth.
Like a lighthouse.
Exactly. And so it's only when that lighthouse light is swinging past our telescopes that we can detect it. But if all other times, it's that part of the sky is blank to us. So Earth, we're not sending out focused beams in various directions. So what you're working with is the inverse square law of, like, you start with this much energy here, and by the time you have just doubled the sphere, it's half as much energy here, and then double it again, half as much energy. And by the time you get to the next star, we're not putting out a whole, there's not a whole lot of radio to detect from us. But yeah, it would still also be redshifted if you go far enough away. So, but we haven't been putting out we haven't been putting out radio for a long enough period that there would have been any redshift. It's not far enough away for the universe to have had any.
Because the first
real
radio
detectable
signals
effect.
were emitted, like, what was it, like Industrial Revolution, right?
Oh,
like
no,
late
the 30s.
18.
Anything, so anything that went out, anything that broadcast,
exactly.
yeah, it was.
That's pretty interesting
It's one of
to
the
think
things
about.
that Contact got right.
Exactly. It's
yeah.
like, what are they're hearing news from, like, some historical event.
Yeah.
So, kind of bringing it back to Earth, pun intended. Why do we care? These things are so far away.
Yeah.
We don't even know for sure where they come from.
Yep.
Why they're there. And the signal we're receiving is, I mean, it's impressive that our instrumentation and our scientists can pick up on it. Who cares? Why?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I love knowing, right? And looking at this, when we see this energy coming to us, we learn not just about the source, but we also learn about the stuff in between. Because all of the energy that is coming from these gamma ray bursts and the fast radio bursts and the quasars, it's passing through all of the gas and dust, the entire universe between it and us. So every little grain of dust in between is leaving information in that signal.
So it's kind of like when a kid goes outside, get their shoes dirty, and they come tracking it through the house,
Mom's
and it's like,
I know you were down in that quarry.
I can see what you went through. And then from the chat room, Space, okay, I'm going to say Space Yuck, but I know it's Spacey UK. But
Space Y-U-K?
Space Y-U-K. I'm going to say Space Yuck. They say, they actually have a very good metaphor. Detecting Earth's emissions is like trying to hear somebody else's headphones at a rock concert.
Yep.
And that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed that, we have the ability to look at a signal full of noise like this, and, the actual signal we're looking at is only this big compared to the rest of it. There just must be an enormous amount of computing power that goes into that.
Absolutely. Chime is kind of an amazing instrument. It's got it's kind of a novel design. Most radio telescopes are parabolas. You see the Goldstone dishes and Arecibo. It's this big dish in a valley in Puerto Rico. But Chime is 4 half pipes, and it's got 1,024 modified cell phone receivers sitting in there, and they're taking a 200 square degree swath of the sky, and they're taking samples a couple billion every second, and they're running it to 2 different computer center processors.
Old phone receivers?
Not old, but
or like
adapted.
Talk about
repurposed.
upcycling.
Yeah, I don't know that they're old. I don't know that they're used.
Or like, you know what I mean.
Just put the image in my mind of somebody ruining the data by going skateboarding on this thing. Oh my god.
Oh man, she did say half pipe.
I did say half pipe.
Shred the gnar. Destroy the evidence.
I feel like there's 2 important things to this. Either one, we learn more about the universe and stellar formations and phenomena like that, or 2, on the very, very, very rare chance that this is some sort of intelligence, we all hope that whenever we see signals like this, like the WOW signal that was in Pegasus constellation, we all hope that this could be aliens, that it's
it was just
detection of
Owen
another
Wilson the whole time.
Either way, it'll be good information. I mean,
Yeah.
whether we learn more about the universe or if we do discover something else out there, either way, it's good for everybody.
And this animation that's happening now is an animation of how random these fast radio bursts are, how spread across the sky they are. We actually, since 2007 up through the 2012 discovery of the repeating fast radio burst, we determined that there should be about 1,000 of these every year spread across the sky. But because radio dishes typically have been so narrow band, we weren't able to see it. But with Chime scanning a huge swath of the sky every night, they're in just testing mode, and they've already found 13 plus fast radio bursts, plus the second repeating fast radio burst. They've got six signals from this same one source.
So basically they're pretty common.
Yes, they're pretty common, and we think that they are possibly deaths of stars. So neutron stars forming, getting black hole, getting absorbed into, accreted into black holes. Some extremely violent, destructive event.
And the thing about it potentially coming from a life source, well, then if what we think is correct in that it's coming from something very violent, like a magnetar or like something like a neutron star, then by definition alone, there would be no life anywhere near that source because it'd be sterilized.
That's a really good point.
Those things that we know.
So basically, it's not aliens.
It's not aliens.
Is what I'm getting from this.
Yes.
It's not aliens.
Get over it.
Yep, it is not aliens, but it is far more information about our universe.
Chime is a new design. It's helping us pick up so much more of these than ever before. We've got new ones that are repeating, and it's not aliens. Is what I'm getting out of this.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Astro...
It's science.
What?
There you go.
And we're not saying it's aliens, it's science.
It is science.
Aliens would be science, Mike.
True.
Just kidding. Astro_is in the chat room says, Chime only covers a portion of the northern hemisphere. And that's actually a good point. So there's this many signals coming from just like not not even the entire sky, for instance. That's pretty, that's important thing to take into mind.
All right, so we're going to go from Chime over to China now.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Proud of you.
Before we get into this story, last week we also talked about Chang'e. I pronounced that really bad. But the Chinese lander and rover mission to the far side of the moon. And we also got a couple little bits of info here that it could have been construed the wrong way. So
I was definitely wrong about some information on the biology experiments. The information that I had gotten was that they had put in Arabidopsis seeds in there, some potato seeds, and some silkworms. But it turns out, at the last minute before the launch, the silkworms were actually replaced with fruit flies, and I was unaware of that. So I apologize for not doing more research and finding out what the actual story was with what is inside there. But there have been a couple updates with it as well. I mean,
the fruit flies were actually in egg form, so the experiment was to see if they could actually hatch while they were on the moon in this container. And to be I guess to clarify here, the biological experiment, it wasn't just exposed to the moon. It was in a sealed container,
like a biodome, but in a container.
Yeah, but really tiny. It was like very small to fit on the rover. And so, I mean, they had the yeast, they had the cotton plant, which did actually sprout. And they had some pictures of the cotton plant sprouting. A couple of images that were on Twitter seemed to show the cotton plant was quite big, quite sprouted with a few leaves on it. Some of those images were from the controlled part of the experiment back on Earth, the one that, you compare to, because in science you always want something to compare to. It's all well and good to go and grow something on the moon, but if you don't have something on Earth to look at, to compare it, you're not going to learn whether the lunar radiation environment was affecting how that plant grows. So, there was images on Twitter with lots of leaves on the plant, and then one image on Twitter where... there was you could see the plant, it was growing and it was kind of green, but it was real tiny. And that's the one that's actually from the container on the moon. So
that's really cool.
And is the container still Is it heated? Does it have some sort of life support, or is it?
So it wasn't heated. But we talked last week, I think, Mike.
It's pressurized though, so it's pressurized. It does have an atmosphere inside of this container.
Right, but it's as that part of the moon goes into shadow.
Yeah.
It's not.
And these experiments were actually on the lander, not the rover, which I think we may have alluded to last week as well. And the lander itself actually has an RTG, a radioisotope thermal generator, that keeps it powered and keeps it heated. But the aim of the experiment wasn't to keep this stuff growing indefinitely. Like, it was planned that the experiments were going to go into this cold phase, and they died.
Yeah.
So the yeast, the fruit flies, the plant, and I believe they had other seeds as well. Rapeseed and Arabidopsis plant seeds are no longer alive.
Yeah, I was going to say MECO1 or MECO1 in the chat room actually mentioned cotton plant now dead in lunar night. That's a very sad. That's probably one of the saddest things I've read in this chat room all morning.
There was a thing on Twitter that got raised. Someone was like, it's all well and good to grow your container of plants and stuff and your fruit flies on the moon, but like, why should we care? We already do this on the International Space Station, growing plants in controlled environments in space. La la la, like, go China, but we've already been doing it. And I think that attitude was really kind of not cool. Because
not cool, Twitter.
They were trying to say that what China has done is no more important than what we've been doing in the ISS for years. But hang on a minute. Is China allowed to participate in the ISS? No. So I think good on China for doing this, because they're not on the surface of the moon and they're not growing in lunar regolith, but they're still showing us that they can get something to the moon. They can keep those biology samples alive for a particular amount of time, and they're exposing it to the radiation environments on the far side of the moon, which is something that we don't seem to have a lot of information about. And actually, there's some international experiments on the Chinese lunar lander that is measuring these radiation environments as well as the biology as well. So, and those are international partnerships, if I'm correct. One from Germany. Actually, it's on my notes. We have the lunar lander neutrons and dosimetry installed on the lander, and that was from Germany. And then we have the Advanced Small Analyzer for Neutrals, or ASAN, on the rover, which is looking at energy-neutral atoms and positive ions to look at the kind of radiation environment around the lander as it explores the environment on the moon. So there's some really cool science being done on this rover.
Yeah, and then Astro YYZ, thank you for correcting me, by the way, I saw that. They ask in the chat room, how can anything germinate at ambient moon temps? And didn't you mention that basically it's a controlled environment within the container itself?
Yeah, so they are right. Plants don't germinate at super freezing cold temperatures. I mean, a lot of seeds actually do need thermal shock in order to germinate. So, I learned that garlic is really good at this because apparently if you put garlic in the fridge and then you take it out of the fridge, it thinks it's time to grow because it's the same change in season. And I should know this. I used to work on a garlic farm. But
you worked on a garlic farm?
That's an after dark story.
That sounds delicious. You must have smelled amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, in nature, the transition from cold temperatures of winter to spring is what signals a lot of plants to start to grow. And so that cold is important, but it needs to come up to that warmer temperature in order for the plants to know, okay, it's time to grow now. So they would have had to heat the container, at least at some point, to start off the germination process. We know that eventually it went cold again, and that's why everything died, but they had to keep it warm enough.
If there wasn't some heat in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they have an RTG.
So they've got a source of heat.
Right. Okay.
They might have just gotten heat from that. We don't know.
Yeah.
However, I feel like the whole thing, though, with the whole biology experiment, I mean, it seems like almost an insignificant experiment that probably, I don't know, but it seems like it was probably thrown on last minute because they had a little bit of extra mass that they could have taken some instruments. And with the whole partnership with Germany and having all of these different instruments that are different from the Chang'e 3 instruments, the whole purpose of this biology experiment is just a small step. Since we have the extra payload, let's do an experiment to move forward towards our human spaceflight program. And for China, their whole plan is to build an outpost on the moon. And so they want to be able to make sure that they can have crews be able to stay there. And we already know that we can do that. I mean, there's some data they have, and they've gotten a lot of data from the Russians about like the Mir space station and things like that. And of course, they've been doing everything with their Tiangong space station. So they know how to keep people alive in pressurized environments, but they want to make sure that they can actually grow food at their lunar base as well. So why not do as many experiments as you can on the path of getting there? And so I feel like a lot of people kind of missed the point of why they even threw on this biology experiment, to get that data. So can we start doing that data now for this small experiment before we spend a couple of $1 billion or a couple billion yuan trying to set up the base and try to grow plants and have them fail for whatever reason? We don't know. So I think that it's a really cool thing that they're doing. And I certainly hope that internationally we will all cooperate and go back to the moon.
Yeah, and in the chat room, Green Jim LL brings up a good point. In terms if you were looking for like the relevance of this, I guess, not that I think it needs to be proven, but they said, and they are in the zone between Earth gravity and microgravity on the ISS. So kind of like you alluded to what was mentioned on that Twitter war or whatever, people saying, oh, we already have experiments on the ISS, who cares? But it's like, well, the moon is still a completely different like environment from the ISS as well. So
I mean, there is the capability on the ISS to they have something called it's like a centrifuge within one of the modules, and you can spin it up to about 1/6 gravity, so you can kind of simulate what it would be like in a lunar gravity environment. But you know, you can do that, you know, artificially, but actually growing it in that environment, I think it is more, you know, more realistic of what, you know, the knowledge you can get out of that.
Yeah.
So.
And then I guess, so in terms of the fate of the fruit flies, Milan Usk in the chat room actually mentions 2 flies survived. The mutations will lead to the downfall of humanity. First of all. And secondly, really 2 of them survived? I had no idea.
Back to what point?
Are they still alive, Milan?
All right, community, we need you to go and
clarify.
Are these flies still alive, and are they going to kill us when we eventually start our lunar colony? Are they going to, you know, infest our habitats?
Or did they just survive the longest and then they died their natural fruit fly death?
Yeah.
I don't know what the lifespan of a fruit fly is.
2 weeks?
It can't be that long.
It's 2.
Their
I think it's 2
entire
weeks.
life cycle is about 2 or 3 weeks. We
sorry.
grow them in
My
biology.
bad. Milan Usk was kidding. I really wish. You know how gullible we are on this set? You know how serious we take you guys?
We just really, you know, we put that trust in our community. I think that's where that comes from.
And now that trust is gone.
I think Mikey had a really good point about spurring international cooperation. So the second international experiment, they had the ASAN experiment. That was actually provided by Sweden. And then they have another experiment from collaborating with the Netherlands that is actually just a low-frequency radio experiment that's not on the lander or the rover.
It was on the relay satellite.
It's on the relay satellite. So, you know, hopefully this can bring China collaborating with different countries in Europe and get that going so that we can have these lunar colonies that we want. And like you mentioned, having that first experiment as a base to go from is great, and moving towards actually being able to grow plants in the lunar environment. But I will say that there is a very huge step between creating an environment in which seeds can germinate and live for a couple days and then die, and actually getting the plants all the way to where they produce, you know, a yield that we can actually eat. So I think there's a long way to go, but I think this is a great first step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. On that, we are going to go into taking a quick break. But before we do, we're going to thank our patrons that make this possible. So thank you to our Escape Velocity patrons who contribute $10 or more per episode. You make this show happen, and we honestly couldn't do this without you. But we also have our orbital subscribers who contribute $5 or more per episode. And again, thank you so much, because you make this show go and you make this show happen. And so you make things happen like the New Year's live stream that we got to do, and all the different kind of events that we're going to have this year. Launch Minute is back. If you haven't seen Launch Minute, go check it out. It's in its own video. And yeah, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have the University of Stuttgart talking to us about their small sat society. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for sticking with us. Now, before we do get into our interview, I just want to say two things here. There is a Delta IV Heavy launch happening in approximately 30 minutes' time. I don't know if we're going to stop the show to go to that, but that would be cool. Maybe I'm
Carrie Ann's shaking her head.
I'm getting a no from Carrie Ann, so I guess we are not going to co-watch that with you. But you may have also noticed that the Delta IV Heavy description in the calendar, it doesn't actually have words there. It has hex code. And then so I brought in a comment from the Stray Eagle who actually translated what that is. So the Stray Eagle says that the hex code on the NROL 71 launch calendar reads, classified payload for the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office. That is the most subtle Easter egg I've ever seen in the whole show, but that's amazing. All right, let's get straight into our interview. So I want to introduce Martin Seedorf and Martin Zietz from the University of Stuttgart Smallsat Society, which we will refer to as KSAT from now on. So thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, nice to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries. And you guys actually watch the show, which I think is pretty awesome. So thank you for one, watching, and two, coming on to join us.
Thanks.
The first thing I want to ask is, how did both of you, why did both of you even join a small sat society at your university?
Well, to be completely correct, I didn't just join, I just founded it. So
created it.
No, it's we both study aerospace engineering, and the study is mostly theoretically. So we said, we want to do a little more hands-on, doing projects, get a little to know how the phase work of space projects are working. And so we said, we make a society, a small society, we make projects, and that's, for me, the reason. I believe for you it's the same.
No, for me, I was a space geek for a couple of years now, and I was always kind of frustrated that I couldn't really do anything in space yet. I mean, I could play Kerbal Space Program and stuff, but that's not, real space flight. And when I came here at the University of Stuttgart, I said I saw KSAT, and then I thought, now I can do real space flight. So that's great.
That's awesome. And so I guess there's a few different projects that people can get involved with at your Small Sat Society. I've had a brief read on all of them, but there are just so many. Do you guys have a favorite project that you're working on? I guess we'll start with your favorites and kind of work around, because my favorite is the project where you have a robot that's crawling around inside rockets. That's what I got out of that. But I mean, is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically correct. So, to be perfectly honest, none of us have actually worked on that particular project, but we can still talk about it. It's fine. So the robot crawling on the inside of the rocket is a technology demonstrator for a robot that could later crawl on the outside of a rocket. So the idea is that you have your space station in orbit, and you can have the robot crawl around on the outside of the space station and look for damages and things like that, and maybe even repair them. So how this works is that we charge these pads that you can see sort of in this light yellow color. So we charge those electrically, and that makes them stick to a metal surface, so it doesn't fall off in microgravity.
It's the system it's kind of like the same mechanism. If you say you have a balloon, rub it on your head, and then stick it to the wall. That's the mechanism that makes this rover stick to the ground. And in here it's just a little insight of how it's going to look like. And that blue you can see is the outside of the rocket. So it's a Rexus rocket. And inside we want to drive just forward and make a little curve or drive around. That's the plan so far.
Yeah. And actually, sorry. Yeah. And actually, our chat room is going crazy for that. So Jan_Nauber from YouTube says, robot crawlers on a rocket? Hell yeah! And also from Chris Tataku B on YouTube, now that's a vision for the future. So it looks like our audience is pretty on board with this particular sat. So that's pretty pretty amazing. In case you needed that validation, which I'm sure you probably don't. But there it
That's
is.
nice to know. Absolutely.
And
So
go ahead, Mike.
why though? Why have this robot? Like, what is it that you're looking for? Obviously, it seems to me like there's more work that it could potentially do on the inside of a rocket tank rather than the outside. But what's its purpose?
Oh, we haven't really thought about the inside. That's an interesting idea. But the idea is that you don't have to send out an astronaut to inspect the damage or repair something. You can just have this robot crawl around on the outside of your space station and then have it look for damages. And you don't have all the troubles associated with doing a spacewalk, you know? So you don't have to put anyone in danger. It's much easier. It's also a lot smaller, so it can crawl around easier. It's just easier, I guess, to have the robot go out.
I think we needed one of those when, you know, on the ISS, the Russian astronauts were like hammering into the Soyuz vehicle. We could have used this robot for that. So how are you guys going in testing? How's that project coming along?
Right now, we had a launch last year in March, as far as I remember. But the rocket had, how was it officially called?
An off-nominal flight.
An off-nominal flight, yeah. So we didn't really came to microgravity, so we couldn't test it. But we already supplied for next mission, and we're up for that and preparing a redesign and improvement.
So we should probably explain how these flights work. So the way this works is the German Aerospace Center and ESA and who else? The Swedish Space Corporation.
I think it's called Corporation, yeah. Yeah.
Let's just say the Swedish Space Corporation, SSC. So they are providing these rockets. I think they are old refurbished ICBMs, and they give out a competition for student teams like us to apply and propose experiments to fly on these rockets, and then the teams can build those experiments and then go to Sweden to launch the rocket, and then it goes to 90 kilometers, and then they can test their payloads in microgravity and vacuum. Yeah. So it's a great program, and so Roach was already on the previous cycle of this program, and now, unfortunately, that rocket failed. So now we're getting ready for a launch in March next year.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Very interesting.
Can you still hear us?
Yeah. Your internet's a little sketchy, but that's okay. We'll work with it.
You're good. You're good.
So that's unfortunate that, you know, that suborbital rocket didn't quite do what you needed. But I would love, personally, to see one of your, test robots on something like a New Shepard capsule on one of their kind of suborbital flights, and you know, just to see, like, what do they call that mannequin Skywalker? And your Roach robot like crawling around inside while, you know, Mannequin Skywalker's floating in microgravity. I think that'd be such a cool thing to see on camera. And I mean, I don't know if we know anyone that can hook you up, but that would be really cool.
That'd be absolutely awesome. But just a little explanation of the video you just see there. It's the red thing is our rover, but the snow that just came inside the module, that's part of the not planned flight. So it just crashed without any break into the snow we had in Sweden. So that's how it came. And we didn't have any opening at the module. So
I mean, even when things fail, like, things fail a lot in spaceflight, but usually sometimes we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. So were you guys able to get any data out of that flight at all, or was that just a complete, you know, write it off because you didn't go to microgravity kind of thing?
We learned we could have been way more prepared for everything, but really knowledge we did not gain. We just said, yeah, we had the time, so we make a little, we make a new design step. That was basically the big advance of it. Just little explanation to this video. That's the Rexus launch we had before the Roach project. And that's Mirka 2RX. And right there you can see we're going to shoot out a small capsule. and that's a predecessor mission for a re-entry capsule. But that's a complete other project.
Wow, you guys are working on the entry capsule? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what you see right now is the first project we did as CASAT.
Wow. So I think I just realized I was pronouncing KSAT wrong.
Where's that launch site in Sweden?
Kiruna.
It's quite the northest place you can be.
Okay.
So let's come back around to one of your other projects. You guys have something on the International Space Station at the moment, the PAPEL experiment. Can you tell us a little bit about what that experiment actually does and why you guys decided to put something on the International Space Station?
Because it's cool. I mean, International Space Station, I mean, you can have an experiment there. Of course we do it, or we try to get in there. It was a little contest called out from Nanorex and DreamUp from USA and the German Aerospace Center, the DLR. And they provided 3 groups of students to have experiments in 1.5 units size. So it's 15 by 10 by 10 centimeters, big CubeSat. And it will go with the mission of Alexander Gerst to the ISS. So right here you can see Alexander Gerst with, I believe the middle one was our cube. And we said...
I think it's the right one, actually.
The right one?
I think the middle is X's.
It's number 76, but I can't see right now. So yeah, it was. We said we want to make a pump, but not a normal pump. We said we take a ferrofluid, which is a fluid enhanced with magnetic iron particles, and if you add a magnet, you can form the ferrofluid, and if you turn another magnet on above, it will move over the ferrofluid. And by this, we had a complete array, and then towed the ferrofluid just by turning it off and on, I mean the electromagnetics, just to walk around. And that's also a technology demonstrator for a pump, which has no moving parts, which is for us the big thing we say that's quite useful. If it comes to repairing stuff on ISS, for example, you just would have to refill the ferrofluid in order to repair it, or you don't have to switch out any bands or something that you have on a normal pump or something. So right there you can see we had 2 experiment areas, and that's really, really tiny. So we had 2 tanks, 2 experiment areas. We only had the chance to only test 1 experiment area, but we had awesome videos. I mean, you probably can show them later. And we made it. It's moving around the ferrofluid.
I think this is one of my favorite videos that you guys sent us.
So this is actual footage from the International Space Station.
Below these circles are electromagnets, and you can see we're turning each on and off, and thereby just move the black ferrofluid.
So does this pump only work with ferrofluid then? And if so, what kind of applications are there? Like, is ferrofluid good at carrying heat? Like, could this be used in like a heat pump system, or what kind of uses do you guys imagine this having?
Heat is also a good idea. To be honest,
I think the idea is that you can move another fluid or solid particles between drops of the ferrofluid. So the ferrofluid is quite oily, actually, so something like water wouldn't really mix with it. So you could move water between, you could enclose a drop of water between 2 drops of ferrofluid and then move it along. And the experimental area 2, the other part that unfortunately we couldn't test, that there the idea was to inject little tiny plastic balls into the track, and then you could move those around with the ferrofluid, and that's basically the idea.
Also, you can, if you have a small pipe where it's all going through the ferrofluid, you can also push air through it. So that's an opportunity as well. And heat would be another way. And also you can use it as a in order to move the momentum of small spaceships, or depends on the size you have. So you can make ACS commanding as well.
Yeah, and actually, Robot Reorg in the chat room brings up a very good point as to how we can utilize this amazing technology. They say it's good for making shape-shifting Terminators. Talking about a little what was it, TI something or other.
That's a really cool technology.
T1000.
Is there a follow-up?
T1000. Sorry. I was going to do the Texas Instruments, the T. I was thinking of the calculator.
I'm going to graph you into oblivion. There. I was so lost. Before my time?
Calculators? No.
Terminator 2's before. Never mind.
Anyways,
so are you guys planning a follow-up to that experiment? Because I just think that's incredibly innovative what you guys were doing there.
Right now, we're waiting for the experiment to come back to Germany. So we're only at first just looking what worked, what did not work, and how exactly is everything looking like right now. But I believe our professor is really thrilled about maybe giving it a second shot. So we'll see where we're going.
The thing is, actually, Papel came home on the CRS-16 Dragon just last week. So it's already back on the ground. So we're waiting to get it back here. But this particular program that it flew on, that was like a one-time competition. So we can't get another one that way. So someone would have to pay for the next experiment, and that might be the university. But so far, nothing's fixed there.
I mean, that's what Kickstarter and crowdfunding campaigns are for, right? Yeah. Patreon. You had a question, Sarah?
I kind of do, yeah. So you've got little robots crawling around inside and outside of spacecraft. You've got working on solid-state pumps, I guess. Are you building towards something bigger? Do you have some end goal in mind?
Our society name is already saying, we want to make a satellite. So not a big one, just starting with a 3-unit CubeSat. That's the other project we are working right now. But all these projects we make, it's like we want to get involved into space projects and make something. So we didn't think about getting everything together. So maybe in the future someday.
So what you can see there is currently our biggest ongoing project, that is SOURCE, the Stuttgart-operated University Research CubeSat for Education and Evaluation. Definitely a backronym.
Well played.
So that's a 3-unit CubeSat that's slated to launch in about 2020. So we're working really actively on that, and it's like over 60 people on that team right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's really big.
And what instruments are or will be on that?
So there's a lot of stuff on there. So we have a camera, so you can sort of see this origami-like structure at the bottom there. That's the baffle for the camera that prevents light from the side hitting the camera. So there's a camera in there that we are testing for the institute here, if it works in space, if it can take good pictures, if it gets destroyed by radiation or anything. Then there's a lot of other technology demonstrator payloads from different industry partners that just want to see if there are components that probably weren't specifically designed for spaceflight if they work in orbit. Then we also have atmospheric measurements. So at the front there are so-called FIPEX sensors, also developed by the institute here, that measure atomic oxygen content in the upper atmosphere. Did I miss anything?
And we're trying to use the camera, which you see right now, not only for making footage of Earth, but also try to use it as a star tracker. So that's another part payload we're using. And of course, the sensors already said we try to use them during the re-entry. So the re-entry part is a big mission step. So it's not only the demise part; we plan it, we need it.
I mean, it's probably the hours before the re-entry. During the actual re-entry, we probably won't be able to do much, but sort of interesting is like 200 kilometers and downwards. So it's a bit of time, but it's definitely towards the end of the mission.
That's cool. Anything going on in the
Here's
chat
a
room,
3
Jay?
unit just for scale. This is a scale model of a 3 unit CubeSat, so not very big, just a tiny little thing. But yeah, you can do a lot with these CubeSats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's actually a big challenge fitting all of the stuff in this small area.
Yeah.
And we actually, oh, where'd you go? Yeah. So in the chat room, Green Jim LL brings up COTS tech suitable for space applications will be a big cost saver.
Cost
so kind
standing
of
for
that march
commercial
towards
off the shelf.
efficiency. Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's really important. A way to get students building stuff that's actually going to go to space, made from stuff that you can just, go down to your local electronics store and buy and put together with your peers doing the same thing that interests you, I think is really powerful. And to go to that, like, how do you recruit students to join your society, and how does that work? Like, do you have to build your way up, from first you just get coffee for everybody working on the spacecraft, or can you just jump straight back into it?
We go around at the university in the first semester of a new year, especially winter semester, and just present ourselves and say, yeah, hi, we're students, we do this and that, and you want to join. And that's how it's working. I mean, we don't get anything. I mean, we don't get paid. We just get a little, we get a lot information, actually. And we like to participate. That's, I mean...
Yeah, you can get some really amazing experience working on a project. I mean, I'm in my 3rd semester now, so I've been studying for not even 1.5 years now, and already I can work on a satellite. So that's really practical knowledge that's really helpful, and it appeals to a lot of people to put stuff into space, and I can understand why. It's just awesome.
I
feel like the pitch of just saying, hey, you want to build a spacecraft, I mean, just that stands on its own right there. Heck yeah, I want to build a spaceship. Let's do it.
You guys mentioned having amazing experiences through this program. So I want to ask each of you, can you give us your #1 absolute highlight moment that you've had by having this ability to work on your own space experiments and space missions?
For me, actually, it's quite a tough one because I've been to a couple of projects right now. So just seeing your project getting launched, I'd say, is really, really the top of it, because you'll be standing there at the launch site and say, yeah, it's I spent a lot of time into that project, and I didn't sleep quite much for just getting it ready in time. And you see the rocket is launching, and it's still not there's no proof that it's going to be up in space. But yeah, that's kind of like the best part, even, yeah, almost better than just having it working.
It's all about the journey, as they say. And
absolutely.
Upcycle Electronics on YouTube has a good question. They're asking, where do you guys source hardware and parts for projects like this?
Good question.
It's most of it, it's just sponsoring. So we just say, hey, company, we've seen your part. We're going to do this and that project. You want to sponsor us? You want to maybe give us a spare part or example? And that's one way. The other way is just asking for money, or in the worst case, we just have to buy it.
Exactly. But that's
for projects like for programs like the Rexus program or the Überflieger, where Papel went to the ISS with. Usually, there's some grant money attached to this to winning this competition that you can put your stuff into space. So you get a bit of money there that you can use to buy stuff as well.
Yeah, and you actually, so you mentioned you had industry experiments on one of your crafts. Does that mean that you can partner with different corporations or different industry partners, and then they can provide some sort of funding?
Yeah, that as well. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk
I was
about
going to say,
that right now.
feel free to be like, shut up, Jade. You're not allowed to talk about that.
But yeah, they're providing parts and also a little bit of money, I believe.
Cool.
But mainly they provide us with parts because that's easier for them to give to us.
Cool.
Martin Zietz, we didn't hear your most exciting moment that you've had with your programs.
I'd also say it was the only sort of launch I participated in so far. So we have what we call the CanSat challenge. That's sort of a little challenge for first semesters where they can sort of learn in an easy way how projects work. So we had to design, there you can see it. That's the size of a Coke can, the part in the middle. So it's tiny, and the challenge was to, it's dropped out of a drone, and then the challenge is to land it as gently as possible without using a parachute. So it's just a little program to get you started to sort of know how stuff works here at KSAT. And the launch of that, seeing the launch of it and then seeing it deploy and work and just come down gently, and then afterwards seeing the data from it, that was awesome. And you can see us cheering if you in just a bit. It's gonna go on for another 30 seconds or so, the video. So
did I see
as soon as the CanSat is dropped from the drone and we can see that the foils that decelerated are out and that it's decelerating, so our deployment mechanism worked. We were just super happy about that. And there you can see me cheering. So yeah, that was a great experience.
I think the thing I'm most impressed about your society is the variation in the different projects you have, from the entry-level CanSat thing all the way up to a 3-unit satellite that's going to go to space. Before we wrap this up, did you have any advice for people that wanted to start their own kind of small satellite society in their own university?
Yeah, well, it may sound a little silly, but the main important part is make sure you have maybe a professor, but a PhD student who is maybe working on the same subject and is therefore able to help you with more detailed intel, and also can maybe provide some rooms or something like that. That's for us was the first big thing that was really helping, because our first project was an idea from a professor, and we picked that up because we just wanted to build something, and they helped us out, and that's quite the big thing about it. So if you don't have anyone, it's really, really tough, because you don't have any knowledge, you don't have any professor who's saying, yeah, it's you can use my machines for this or that, because I want to know what's going to work with it. So
I'd also say it's helpful if you get a couple of friends, because for our projects, the constraint is always manpower. We just never have enough people and never enough people who know electronics. And so you just need a couple of people. Usually it's not money, it's time and people that's constraining. So having a couple of friends helps definitely as well.
And before we close out the show, can you guys tell us, if people wanted to find more information about your society and all the projects you're doing, where's the best place that they can find information about that and about you yourselves as well?
So our website is ksat-stuttgart.de. So you can find information about all our projects there. Then we are on Twitter at ksat_Stuttgart, and on Facebook as well at ksat_Stuttgart.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to talk to us. I'm suitably impressed about what your society of volunteers and students have been able to achieve. It's actually more than what some companies can even achieve. So you guys should be incredibly proud of the work that you're doing in your projects, because they're quite impressive.
Thank you very much for having us here.
All right, before we close out today,
awesome.
I want to give a very huge shout out to all of our patrons that make this show happen. To our Escape Velocity citizens, these people contribute $10 or more per episode. They get their name in the show, but they also get the feeling of knowing that they make this whole show happen. And we get amazing guests, like the people we're talking to today. And, we had Peter Beck on last week, and all of these happened because of you. We could not do this without you, so thank you. We also have our orbital citizens. These people contribute $5 or more per episode, and they get their name in the show and free worldwide shipping in the swag store and lots of other cool things. But they make the show go. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I am so sincerely thank you for everything you help us to do. And I'm also want to shout out our suborbital citizens as well for making this show happen. We couldn't do New Year's Eve live streams. We couldn't do everything without you guys making a mess of this. And we also have our ground support citizens. But really what I was doing is killing time because there's so many names on this slate now that I have to just keep saying words so that you have enough time to go get a Sharpie and circle your name on the screen and then get some rubbing alcohol and wipe that off your TV screen because you don't want to ruin it. Hopefully I've stalled enough time now. If you would like to contribute to the shows of tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. Next week, we have the debut of Tomorrow Science for 2019. I'm so excited. So we're going to be having Rose Jones from the Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Sciences, and Rose is going to talk to us about the strange places where microbes live. We're going to be talking deep sea microbial communities. We're going to be talking using microbes to bioremediate the damage done by mining and acid mine drainage. It's going to be, you can tell I'm like really excited about this. Because, we do have a space episode next week too. Stay tuned on Twitter to find out.
We do have a space episode, but science.
Stay tuned on Twitter to find out who our space guest will be if we have one. And science will be at 20:30 UTC next week. So make sure you tune into that as well. But for now, that's it for tomorrow, and we'll see you next time. See you later. Bye.
Thanks for stopping by.
Last one, because we're already at an hour, and I didn't want to talk about the government shutdown.
I was gonna say,
it didn't feel positive. I didn't want to go there.
We were
it just didn't feel right.
Such a happy vibe, and then by the way, America's broken.
But also, I had no way to tell anyone that I was killing that third segment.
That was fine.
So I just had to use word clues like right before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, I caught your drift.
Okay, cool.
Speaking one thing I will say about the government shutdown, I feel terrible for all of the government workers not getting paid, but I had my first experience of not being able to do my job because of it.
Wow.
Because we partnered with the Smithsonian, the National Air and Space Museum, and I'm trying to figure out. So we're sending some students there for the summer. I'm like, oh, okay, is it still the Planetary Studies Hall? What? Tell me some details. And cricket. 5 questions in this email. No, but I'm very. She actually did reply, which is very sweet, but with one line. We're not open due to government shutdown. Apologies. And that's it. Just one line, and I was like, R.I.P. me. That was...
Yep.
So at least in Washington, D.C., Kraft, the company, the food company, is doing a food pop-up that they're calling Kraft Now Pay Later.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's going on today and tomorrow. Variety of products, macaroni and cheese,
so it's
single
Kraft with a K.
K-R-A-F-T.
Like the cheese brand.
Not like the movie on my sweater.
No.
But Kraft.
I love that. I didn't even notice.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Just as cheesy, though.
The nice thing is there's a lot of other companies that are stepping up to try and help out.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Because, God, yeah. Anyways, without getting too bummed out.
Martin and Martin, did you guys have anything else you wanted to share with us? This is our after show now.
You can talk about anything. It doesn't have to be satellite.
We're still on the air, but this is the kind of more casual, relaxed-y version of the casual, relaxed show.
Yeah.
Oh, Dara, they muted.
But yeah, it's probably your project, so you should talk about it.
We're also making a balloon project. So we're having a weather balloon. We made the bus system. So say we provide energy, we provide communication, and have some payload fly with us. So yeah, that's what I'm project leader of, and we're just we have everything ready, but the bad thing is weather is saying no, you don't fly. So we just have it sitting in our room and waiting for good weather to come by, so we don't have to drive. I don't know, 5 hours to catch it.
Oh wow, yeah. I've done a couple balloon launches in my time, and I was on recovery team for one of them. And driving to try and catch a balloon, and also like because it's moved, like you kind of follow it, and then it bursts, and then it comes down. But you know, like you don't want to keep driving, and then all of a sudden it kind of goes back towards you because it hits a different kind of wind, and then comes back this way, and then you got to like drive back. It's just like it's a stressful situation of trying to figure out where to drive to get your payload back. So.
Yeah. Absolutely, and especially if you have a good day, you just have to drive like 20 minutes and not 5 hours to get the balloon. So just wait for that wind.
Yep, we had to drive. I think it was like 2 hours.
And does it have like a GPS thing on it, so you know where it is?
Yeah,
like
the one
tracker?
we used had some kind of. I don't think it was. It may have been GPS. It was some kind of beacon that used amateur radio because the balloon launch I did was for an amateur radio experiment group. So yeah, it was really cool. They had this interface too that you could just like log into, and like the balloon payload had its own like call sign and everything. You type in the call sign and it have a little map, and you could like track the balloon and where it was going. And then the car I was in also had a radio with its own call sign thing, so you could like see the car like chasing the balloon and then like chasing back, and yeah, it was fun.
And then it landed on somebody's
That's
roof.
pretty much the same thing we're trying to do as well. Like calling it, but we additionally have Iridium satellite communication on it.
Wow, that's cool.
So our balloon is going to send us a satellite short message. So
that is so much cooler than what we did.
No, we just want to try to be on the safe side, so we definitely find it.
Wow. What kind of is there any kind of cameras or anything on your first on this balloon launch that you're waiting to send?
Yeah, we'll glue a little GoPro on the downside, or I don't know if it's a GoPro. Some kind of action camera.
We're big GoPro fans here. We're very big GoPro fans here, so 10 points for Gryffindor. It's awesome.
Yeah, the other cameras we're flying are Raspberry Pi cameras, but they're for the payload because they look up into the sky because they want to measure the lightning of the sky to see how they have to adjust a telescope balloon for later missions.
So yeah, that's a payload for the Institute of Space Systems, which is sort of the space entity at the University of Stuttgart, and we're working a lot with them to get our stuff, and they help us out, and we use their rooms and things like that.
Nice. Oh man.
Also, what I noticed when I started working on Source on the satellite, you know when you play Kerbal Space Program, you say sort of, how hard can rocket science be anyway? And once you start building a satellite, you realize really quickly it actually is really complicated. Because as soon as you go into space, everything becomes difficult. You can't service it. It gets hit by radiation. Things might break. Then you have to consider, what happens when it breaks. Just everything gets complicated really quickly. And I underestimated that.
So when's your 3U? I know you're kind of going through, like you're doing the design. You've got your CAD models going. When do you kind of envision it's going to launch? And do you have a launch provider yet?
So what we're looking at for launch provider is the Fly Your Satellite program by ESA. So they have a program where student teams can compete for a rideshare on a Vega or from the International Space Station. So we will apply for that and hopefully get it. Hoping for the best. And yeah, launch is planned for late 2020.
Wow. Well, I'm going to follow that mission very closely once, you guys announce who you're launching on, because I'm super excited to see this happen. Like,
Yeah,
I
me too.
just really, I wish my university had I wish my university did anything space related at all because I was in Australia. But, I wish we had a society like this where we could actually build stuff. Like, not just, oh, let's build a CubeSat, like a fake CubeSat to learn how to build one. But actually hardware that's going to go to space and actually get real scientific data or technical knowledge, that's really cool.
But don't underestimate it. It's not only building it. It's most of the time you have to do the planning. It's 2/3 of time you're just planning and thinking about it and do calculations and evaluate which design and all that. And just not a small part, but it's a little part you actually build stuff.
So the building comes right at the end. So you finalize your design, and then you do what's called a critical design review. So NASA does this as well, and it's common practice in the space industry. You do a critical design review where you invite experts, and you tell them what you're thinking about doing, and then they'll say, okay, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work. And then you can fix it. And once you've fixed all of that, they'll say, okay, your design is good, and now you can go ahead and build it.
And they believe if you have that design, it will work perfectly. I mean, everything you ever planned is going to be working perfectly.
Logic.
No,
there it is. He knows what he's talking about. And actually, in the chat room, there's a really good question from, where'd you go? There it is. Jan Nauber from YouTube asks, at Martin & Martin, will you consider open sourcing any of your software, such as the Star Tracker?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, I believe everything will be open source.
Nice.
We also participate Google Summer of Code in order to outsource some of the source parts.
Cool.
But there's only concerning the simulator, some parts we are not allowed to have them open source, but that's a minor part of all of that.
I think the Star Tracker is definitely going to be open source.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Good to know.
That's a good point. Do you guys? I mean, you're working on a spacecraft, a 3-unit spacecraft. Do you face any export controls for the US equivalent of ITAR? I guess that. Well, I mean, obviously the US stuff doesn't apply to you because you're in Europe. But do you have any of those kind of regulations?
For the communication, we have, I believe, the same regulations because we have to register for the bandwidth, or the frequency we're going to use, and of course there are some parts from US we can't get because they are restricted. I'm actually not sure if we have some of them.
I don't think we have any. I think most of the CubeSat parts are fine because they are space qualified, but they're not that specialized that they fall under ITAR. One thing is that your average commercial GPS receiver just won't work in space because they have a restriction built in that they won't work above 15 kilometers and a certain velocity. So you can't use them for ballistic missiles, basically. So in space, they just won't work. So we had to get a special receiver with special firmware. And we're actually getting that from Asia somewhere. So it is something you have to consider.
I never even thought of that.
Space is hard.
I guess space isn't so easy.
I mean, only when there's
Exactly.
government restrictions and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's next for both of you? I mean, are you going to continue working with the Small Sat Society after you graduate, move into the workforce? You're not students anymore. What are you going to do?
I'm pretty early in my studies so far. I mean, I've just been studying for 1.5 years. I have another 1.5 in my bachelor's and then another 2 in my master's. So I'll probably be staying with CASA till then, unless I decide to do the master's somewhere else. So for now, I'm pretty busy with Source, so that I don't really have much time to do any other projects. I'm doing a bit of public relations as well, but it's mostly Source right now. And after I graduate, I have no idea what will happen, but it is pretty likely that I won't be staying in Stuttgart anymore, so I don't think I can work on CASAT anymore.
Yeah, and Kazat is saying we only want students to work with him, so
that as well.
Yeah.
Wow. I almost wish I was a student again so I could join.
You get that.
Same. You got a bachelor's,
Well,
right?
it doesn't say anything
already have a
against external experts.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry. It doesn't say anything against external experts. So if you wanted to join us, I mean, sure, absolutely.
An invite.
Actually, you raised a good point about, you do public relations work a little bit on the side as well. Is there roles for anyone doing non-technical stuff for these projects as well?
There's definitely a lot to do, but at this point, we don't really have anyone who can just focus on public relations because everyone's busy with technical stuff. So, we're a society that's sort of a special thing under German law. So the press speaker, as it's officially called, who does the PR stuff, is actually an elected position. So I'm officially the press speaker, but we just don't have enough people to have just a press speaker just doing public relations. But there's definitely enough to do. And public relations just kind of always falls off the cliff behind the technical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
After all, we're still just engineers or student for engineers, so we kind of take it slow on that. And we didn't get the chance to get some guys from the high school for media to join us.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd like to do a lot more public relations, but it's just so much to do on the satellite, and it's just difficult to find the time.
Totally understandable. It almost sounds like a great opportunity, to collaborate with different parts of your university, the different schools, and to get, people doing, marketing, communications coming in. I mean, if they're excited about space, and then I don't know what else you need. I guess you don't really need lawyers unless you do ITAR stuff, but almost like bringing together all the different departments of your university to focus on how great space is. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, one thing we are trying to set up is that the media, the University for Media stuff here in the region has sort of a program where their students can get credit points for doing public relations work or whatever project somewhere else, and we are trying to register Kazat there so they can come to us and do our public relations work and get credits for that.
It's a great idea.
It is, yeah.
Hope that works out for you guys.
Lots of capstone project stuff out there. Well,
anything else in the chat room? I feel so weird not having the chat room in front of me. Like I just want to know what they're talking about. I have massive FOMO right now.
Well, I mean, there's a lovely concluding sentiment from Peter Quinn on YouTube saying, "Yeah, best of luck, Martin and Martin." You guys have a whole brand going on. Talk about PR. Martin and Martin, bringing you small satellites and other things.
Oh man! All right, are we wrapping up?
I think so.
Okay, we'll let you guys go as well. Thanks for staying on this little bit extra to keep talking satellites and projects. It's great.
It's been fun.
I've learned a lot, and I'm suitably jealous and impressed at the same time. And we've lost Sarah.
Yeah, it was great fun. Thank you for having us.
Cool. All right, goodbye, community. It's time for us to go. I need to take a nap. I was up very late last night.
To a mountain.
Cool. All right.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for ignition.
Bye, Martin.
10, 9, 8. We should have ignition. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket with NROL-71 for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Vehicles beginning the pitch over maneuver.
You are hearing the voice of Patrick Moore providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Now 20 seconds into flight, seeing good chamber pressure across all three R68A engines. Now 30 seconds into flight. And core boosters beginning to throttle down to the partial thrust mode as expected. Core booster has reached partial thrust. Now 46 seconds into flight. Chamber pressures continue to look good across all three R68 engines. Core booster in partial thrust mode. Port and starboard boosters in the full thrust mode. Now coming up on 1 minute into flight. Now passing 1 minute, 10 seconds. All three RS-68A engines continue to look good. Vehicle is now passing max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. And vehicle is now past Mach 1. Delta 4 is now supersonic. Now 1 minute, 30 seconds into flight. Chamber pressures on all three RS-68A engines continue to look good. Core booster in the partial thrust mode. Port and starboard boosters in the full thrust mode. 1 minute, 40 seconds in. Launch vehicle is now 12 miles in altitude. Traveling at almost 1,600 miles per hour. Chamber pressures on all three engines continue to look good. Coming up on 2 minutes into flight. Second stage attitude control system press valve has been opened. System now pressurizing to flight levels. Response looks good. Now 2 minutes, 10 seconds in. Chamber pressures on all three engines continue to look good. Vehicle's now gone to closed loop guidance. Vehicle body rates look good. Now 2 minutes, 30 seconds in. Just over 3 minutes now remaining in the boost phase of flight. Engine operating parameters continue to look good. Now passing 2 minutes, 42 seconds in. The Delta IV rocket now weighs just 1/2 of what it did at launch, burning propellant at a rate of almost 5,000 pounds per second. 2 minutes, 55 seconds in. Vehicle body rates continue to look good. Now at 3 minutes, vehicle is now passing Mach 5. About 20 seconds remaining, and I'm sorry, 30, correction. Vehicle body rates continue to look good. Chamber pressures on the RS-68A engines continue to look good. Now coming up on 3 minutes, 20 seconds into flight. Just over 30 seconds now remaining until strap-on booster engine cutoff. 3 minutes, 30 seconds in, just over 2 minutes remaining in the boost phase of flight. Vehicle is now passing Mach 10. Chamber pressures on the RS-68A engines continue to look good. And port and starboard booster engines now throttling down to partial thrust in preparation for cutoff as expected. And we have cutoff of the strap-on engines, standing by for separation. And we have good indication of separation of the port and starboard strap-on booster. Core booster is now throttled back up to the full thrust mode. Engine response looks good. 4 minutes, 10 seconds into flight. Chamber pressure on the core booster in the full thrust mode looks good. Upper stage lock system has begun boost phase chill down sequence to begin thermal conditioning of the upper stage engine. Now 1 minute remaining in the boost phase of flight. And upper stage fuel system has begun boost phase chill down. Core booster continues to look good in the full thrust mode. Coming up on 5 minutes into flight. A little over 30 seconds now remaining until PICO. Vehicle body rates continue to look good. Chamber pressure continue to look good on the core booster. Now 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Standing by for core booster throttle down shortly. Core booster is now throttling down as expected. Standing by for PICO. And we have BECO booster engine cutoff, standing by for stage separation. And we have good indication of stage separation. Nozzle extension is now deploying. We have pre-start on the RL-10, standing by for ignition on the RL-10. We have ignition and full thrust on the RL-10. Chamber pressure looks good. Body rates look good. Standing by for payload fairing jettison. And we have good indication of payload fairing jettison. Chamber pressure continue to look good on the RL-10 engine. This first burn of today's mission will last approximately 12 minutes, 6 seconds.
This is Delta Mission Control at T plus 6 minutes and 30 seconds and counting. Patrick Moore has just confirmed the successful completion of the early phase of today's flight. All systems continue to operate nominally, and I would also like to thank Patrick Moore for his support of today's show. If you'd like to know more about ULA or the Delta IV Heavy rocket, visit ulalaunch.com or join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to know more about the NRO, visit www.nro.gov or follow them on Facebook and Twitter. To finish the show, let's take another look at today's liftoff.